del doctor Zhimin. El doctor Yang es director del Departamento de Estudios Multidisciplinarios y director ejecutivo también del Centro de Estudios Latinoamericanos, ambos del Instituto de Estudios Latinoamericanos de la Academia China de Ciencias Sociales. Es además miembro titular del comité académico del propio instituto del CAS y ha concentrado sus investigaciones sobre temas de la economía de América Latina y el Caribe y con énfasis en México. Ha sido profesor visitante en Corea, Reino Unido y México, acá en nuestro centro en la UNAM, y es autor de decenas de estudios en chino, inglés y en español. El doctor Yang va a hacer su presentación en inglés. Vamos a tener 2 ponencias magistrales continuas y tendremos al último unos 15 minutos para un grupo de preguntas y respuestas por parte de los ponentes. Mr. Yang, please.
Buenos días, amigos todos. Siguiente, voy a hablar en inglés porque mi español es muy mal. Y por eso voy a dar la presentación en inglés porque es más fácil, a mí más fácil. Lo siento mucho. Good morning, everyone. I try to give a presentation in English because I think English is a little bit easy for me. So please forgive me. I will try. So. Before beginning the presentation, I'd like to say thanks to CHINA-MÉXICO Professor Enrique Dussel and also Yolanda Tarbaga, Professor. So thanks for their invitation. So it's my honor. I think in the eve of the 10th anniversary of CHINA-MÉXICO, I can be here, so it's my honor. So in the name of the Center for Mexican Studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, I'd like to express the congratulations to CHINA-MÉXICO. Then I will begin my presentation. Today I will going to talk about the Mexico and China, the condition proposals from a Chinese perspectives. What we are going to talk is the 3 parts. One, I want to give assessment of the last 3 years, the bilateral relations. And then I will talk to you what's the challenges and opportunities. The last part is a proposal of mine. At first, I'd like to tell you that this is my own viewpoints, not necessarily stand for the Institute of Latin American Studies of Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. So maybe it's a little bit subjective, but not objective. And first, I want to talk. Would you like? Because I can't hear it, see it. The first evaluation, the overall performance from the political field, economic field, and also in general. Political field, just now the diplomat from the Chinese embassy to Mexico had told us that I think in 2013, the bilateral ties reached a new level because we enhanced the bilateral ties to a so-called comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. And then economically, China kept as the second largest trading partner of Mexico. And also Mexico is China's second largest trading partners in Latin American and the Caribbean region. So Mexico is an important destination of China's outbound FDI. This is from the political, economical, and in general, I think, from my view, that China and Latin American relations developed smoothly over the last 3 years. However, far from fruitful cooperative results indicate there still exists larger cooperative space. This is the overall performance. And then this, I give a chart. I like to give assessment. So it may be a little subjective. I compared the first term from 2006 to 2012, and then the first 2 years of the President Peña Nieto, from the political relations, economic relations, cooperative results, and overall relations. We can see that the first 2 years of the President Peña Nieto is better than the term of the President Felipe Calderón. So I think that means the bilateral ties has been making progress in the last 2 years of the President's term. And I want to show, from the political field, I said that we made the progress and reached a new high. I checked some materials from the website of China's Embassy to Mexico. This is numbers of important bilateral agreements signed by China and Mexico. We can see in the first 2 years, we signed 23 bilateral agreements, important agreements. I think it still exceeded the whole term of the President Felipe Calderón. And how about I can see it. I can't see it. So the evaluation from the bilateral economic relations, first from bilateral trade relations, we can see this year, in 2015, the bilateral trade volume still increasing. Although the increasing rate is only more than 1%, but it still keep the tendency of the increasing. So the left figure shows up the whole, sorry. I don't know what's wrong. It's controlled by computer, not the screen. So sorry, let's continue. So compare the trade relation, the trade volume between China and Latin America. We can see it's different. You know, this year the bilateral trade volume decreased compared with last year. The China-Latin American trade volume is decreased more than $30 billion. This is bilateral. However, the bilateral trade between China and Mexico keep increasing. And from the outbound FDI of China in Mexico, we can see that Mexico Yes, it's true. It's one of the important destinations for Chinese foreign direct investment, but it accounts for only a small portion of the whole outbound FDI in Latin America. It's only by the end of the 2014, it's only 5.4 $100 million. This is bilateral. Not one FDI. And I want to give a summary from the evaluation. The first, the two big regional and even global countries, China and Mexico, should have a closer overall relations. But until now, I don't think we have closer as our thought, right? And second, compared with the sound China-Mexico political relations, the bilateral economic cooperation still lag behind it. Well, among the problem of economic relations, the successful cooperation on big project is in great need. It means that China and Mexico, the cooperation, we need big project how to put forward the big projects is far more important. And the second part, I want to tell the challenges and opportunities. The first is bilateral economies, China and Mexico face restructuring tasks and external uncertainties. Not only China, Chinese economy entered in the so-called new normal, and Mexico is undertaking the restructuring reforms. And in the global context, we are facing, both China and Mexico face the uncertainties. The second, over the course of the economic cooperation, some difficulties still exist, and the accidents once happened occasionally indicate that both sides are still lack of coordinating mechanism. I think it's far more important. I once talked to Professor Enrique Dussel how to avoid some accidents. I think it's very important, such as high-speed train program, such as the Dragon Market, right? So it's happened, it's true, but how we can coordinate, make the coordinated contact, we can find a new project is far more important. And currently, it seems that there is no clear roadmap on how to concrete bilateral economic cooperation, let alone make full use of the existing mechanism. This mechanism, I divided the mechanism into different types or different categories at multinational level, at the regional level, or binational level, how to make full use of it. I think it's the challenges, difficulties we are facing. One of the challenges is the slowing down Chinese economy. We can see in the figure, the two figures. One showed that the Chinese GDP growth rate last year, 2015, it was only 6.9. Yes, it's lower than before, right? But it is still one of the most fast economic growth worldwide. And the left figure shows the trade, China's foreign trade is decreasing, right? But the total volume is still very huge. China is still one of the biggest trading, exporting country in the world. And another challenge is also the slowing down economy in Latin America, our counterpart, China, Latin America. Latin American's economy in 2015 shrinking, or the minus economic growth is only 0.4%. But compared with the whole regions, the Latin American region situation, the Mexican economy keeping the growing tendency is from the 1.4 in 2015 to 2015 is reached 2.5, and next year, according to the forecast of CEBAL, it will around at 2.6. So keep the increasing tendency. So how to tell the difference of the challenger or the opportunity. So let's think it. This is challenger so-called. And beside the challengers, we do have opportunities between China and Mexico cooperation, especially economic cooperation. The first is the huge potential cooperation space. I will give an example. This, the right chart shows the Chinese loan to Mexico. It's the newly released statistics by OECD. The total Chinese loan to Mexico accounts for only 2% of the whole region that China give a loan to the whole Latin American region. So I think the huge potential, right, from the FDI, from the bilateral trade volume compared to the whole region between China and Latin America, and also from the Chinese loan to Mexico. So I call it, we have a huge cooperation, the space. The second is infrastructure cooperation. I noticed that the Mexican government have published the so-called infrastructure development plan in the coming years, right? So infrastructure need lots of the investment, and China now is trying to cooperate with Latin American financial cooperation and increase the investment, FDI in Latin America. So it's the opportunity. The third is industrial production, capacity cooperation, Sino-Latin American, 3x3 production, capacity cooperation. And this fund company has been established last year. So the fund, the total amount of the fund reached $30 billion. We judging from the report from the MOFCOM, the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Cooperation, or the Ministry of Commerce of China, that the most potential cooperative field is the industrial cooperation. The last one is the new, I think we can call it a new complementary relationship based on each other's supply and demand capacities. Generally, we call the complementary cooperation or the relationship. That means China imported more raw materials from Latin America, and then we export manufacturing products to Latin America. But now, no. Under the new cooperation model, we can base our cooperation at the higher level, like the industrial production capacity cooperation, right? It's the win-win cooperation. And challenge opportunities, another opportunity is, I think there is the favorable conditions nowadays. The first is the new start point. That is the bilateral comprehensive strategic, how to say, the new level. We signed the strategic, comprehensive strategic partnership, right? I think it's a new start compared with the term of the last president, right? I think it's a new start point. And a long historical connection. I think all the audience here, if you noted the president's speech at the Congress in Mexico, that he mentioned the now de la China, right? The first global trade routine in the Pacific. Although, you know, if you noted the domestic policy like the One Belt, One Road, La Franja y la Ruta, the policy, you can find that although the One Belt, One Road policy didn't consider the Mexico, Latin American countries, but it's open policies. We have more opportunity to cooperate. We can base our historical connection. The third, realistic economic demand. Under the context of global economic situation, the opportunities resulting from the structural reform I mentioned just now, both in China and in Mexico. And the cooperation on global governance. Just now, I think the speaker mentioned that the UN, especially the G20, that's the best chance for the top leaders to meet to give the top button design I will mention later. I think there's several conditions. And the third part is my proposal. General points, I will give you my logic. The first is, I came here in 2012, right? I give the presentation. The topic is in español, cooperación económica y comercial entre China y México, elevando el nivel de esta óptica estratégica, right? This is my topic. So I give the topic, fortunately in 2012, China and Mexico, we signed or elevated the bilateral tie to comprehensive strategic cooperation partnership. And the second, in 2012, 2 years ago, I went here. I give a presentation, economic relations between China and Mexico need a top-down design. Recently, I read a book written by the famous economist, the former chief economist of the World Bank, and also the deputy governor of the World Bank, Lin Yifu. He told how the developing countries to find a way to the prosperity. He mentioned that the role of the politicians in domestic development and foreign relations can keep the key role. So the top leaders, including the president, he can play the key role in the domestic development, and also he can play the key role when he developed the bilateral ties with other countries, including China-Mexican relations. Today, I came here, I want to give a presentation or give a proposal. I think this is the most important part of my presentation. I'd like to suggest that make full use of the existing mechanism to improve the China-Mexico relations. So how to use it, take advantage of the multilateral, regional, bilateral cooperative mechanism, and measures, the country's measures. I think it is very important to improve the bilateral ties in the coming 3 years. First, to counter bilateral relations, the first one is to make full use of the multilateral channels I mentioned just now. The second, to accelerate economic cooperation while consolidating bilateral political ties, the medium and high-tech industrial cooperation. I think this is the potential cooperation field between the two countries. The third is to conduct economic cooperation through China-CELAC, overall cooperation platform. This is a new platform. We can make full use of it. There is no contradiction between the China-CELAC cooperation and the China-Mexico bilateral cooperation. That means we have another channel. That China is the regional level, China and Latin America. The fourth one is actively implement the bilateral mechanism between China and Mexico. We not only signed the important bilateral agreement, but also we have established the bilateral investment fund. So how to use the fund? The last one, I take full play of the role of think tanks of both sides, like the CHINA-MÉXICO, like the ILAS-CASS, and also the network of Latin Americans, China studies in Latin America. And also, I will tell you, the ILAS want to establish another dialogue mechanism. We want to have the dialogue between our cooperation and with the network in Latin America. Last time I mentioned in my presentation, top-down design, because the role is that the state can keep the top-down design role from the 28 to 2015. We can see some of the policies, all the platform, all the measures came up. right? We can the role of the state, play the top-down design role. And also, the enterprises, that is very important, because some of the enterprises, like the big companies, Chinese companies, and both at the state-owned or the private companies, they are the pioneer. They can play the key role in entering other countries or other markets. So the role of the enterprises is the bottom-up design. So how to combine the two roles? We have a platform. This platform we call it the quasi-government organization, like the CCPIT. And also, I added the think tanks, like the CHINA-MÉXICO, ILAS, can play the platform and adverse role. So how to combine the three roles, the roles in 4 categories is important. This top-down design. So the future, not only the coming 3 years, maybe in the long run, we need top-down design. So how to give a very good plan to develop bilateral relations. It is not only urgent, but we can keep the bilateral relations, have a healthy relationship. Right? This top-down design and the mechanism measures, yeah. The bilateral is the fund I mentioned, China-Mexico Investment Fund. The regional China-SELF cooperation. This is the 2 platform or agreement or mechanism, and we have some concrete measures you can look from the chart, the figure. And proposal is good news. Last year, the China Latin American Industrial Capacity Cooperation Fund registered, and this year, in the early beginning, China Latin American Cooperation Fund company set up. So how can make full use of the 2 funds, the company contact with the companies? I think it will conducive to the economic growth of Mexico. And the last is the take full play of the role of think tanks, CHINA-MÉXICO. I once studied here for 1 year, and I know Miguel Dussel and other professors is very famous. They have many ideas on how to develop bilateral ties, including both politically and economically. And CMS is Center for Mexican Study at ILAS-CASS. We are lucky. We invited the former ambassador Chinese ambassador to Mexico, at Zheng Gang, Mr. Zheng Gang, the director. So how to take place of the CMS role is also important. We are still thinking. Take full play of the role, I mentioned that ILAS-CASS want to organize a dialogue among Latin American study institutions in East Asia. Maybe this year in Shanghai. We want to set up a platform in East Asia, and we can cooperate with the network in Latin America. We have a 3 aims, first, second, third, learn, because the limits of time, I can't give the detail. And the conclusion. The first, I think, to focus on the important issues, China and Mexico, while relaxing on the small ones. The second is to let bygones be bygones and look forward while cherishing the current sound bilateral relations. The third, to manage to increase the confidence for both sides and the entrepreneurs in particular through some new successful project in short term. In short term, this is my suggestion. In long run, I think not only in the coming 3 years, maybe in the 10 years or 20 years, to lay solid base for the further development of bilateral relations. The last, not the least one, is the Sino-Mexico relations have bright future, I think, though it is inevitable to face new difficulties ahead. Because it's very natural, country-to-country relations, you cannot always in the moon months, right? When we face development, it's the problem of the development problem, right? So I'm confident the bilateral relations. That's my conclusion. So thank you. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, doctor.